First of all, I really need to apologise. I know many of you will have turned up today expecting to see Jazz speak, and I'm not Jazz. It's a bit like you book to go and see Beyonce, but you get there and the Proclaimers have turned up instead. So apologies for that. Don't worry, I'm only on for 15 minutes anyway. Probably the most interesting thing about me is that I live up here, up on the tippy top of the Outer Hebrides on the Isle of Lewis. Fortunately, unlike the Proclaimers, I didn't have to walk the more than 500 miles to get here. But when people meet me, they always want to know, why did you move all the way up there? What's up there? So I don't have long today. I've only got time for 3 reasons. That's one. Those are my children. That's Lauren and Harris. That's on the beach near our house. Looks like the Caribbean, but it feels like the Arctic Ocean. And I don't know if you can see that there, but that's the Northern Lights in my back garden a couple of weeks ago. And that's me with Paddington, one of my alpaca pets. So I had to move somewhere with a bigger back garden to get those. But enough of the tourist information, because my job here today is really to dish the dirt on what's happening in Scotland in terms of reading. And similar to many countries, the main problem we really have in Scottish education at the moment is the attainment gap. That uncomfortable space that sits between our poorest children and their potential. We know, for example, that when children start school in Scotland, children from poorer homes are coming in the door already at a disadvantage compared to their wealthier peers. They can be 18 months behind in terms of not just their cognitive development, but in terms of their vocabulary too. So it means people like this wee guy, he's already got a mountain to climb before he's even started. And if we as teachers don't start to fill that hole, to backfill that hole, it becomes a black hole by the time you get to secondary school. We know too that 1 in 4 children from deprived areas, they're struggling with reading at primary school. We know that 1 in 2, by the time they get to early secondary, are underperforming in writing. And we know that by the end of compulsory schooling in Scotland, children from deprived areas, they're coming away with fewer qualifications, with much less attainment compared to their wealthier peers. So these children, for whatever reason, whether it's their circumstances, whether it's their parents, their postcode, their pre-5, learning in home environments, or just plain poverty, they arrive at school deprived, but they're still leaving deprived. And, we're failing our children, the very ones who need that transformational power of education the most. So what are we doing about it? Well, we are trying to attack this from every angle. We've got loads of things happening in Scotland. For example, Play, Talk, Read. That engages with parents. It teaches parents how to interact with their children between 0 to 3. It's educating them all about that. We're trying to have joined up thinking from 0 to 8 years through the Early Years Collaborative and through cross-sector working. We've got a new curriculum, more about that later. As from January, P1 to 3, so that's reception to year 2, everyone gets free school meals. And just last month, Nicola Sturgeon, our new First Minister, she announced this new £100 million Attainment Challenge Fund to help the poorest children in the poorest areas, in the poorest schools. So, we are doing a lot about it. But this is the one I'm interested in, this Raising Attainment for All, because this is a programme, if you like. It was rolled out last year. This is the one that interacts directly with teachers, and it gets teachers together. It allows them to collaborate, to share, to what's working across Scotland, how we're going to close the gap. So this is the sort of driving force behind it, is to ensure that Scotland's education system delivers improved life chances for all of our children and young people. That's very much the focus. That's our Cabinet Secretary for Education and Lifelong Learning, Angela Constance, and that's her Raising Attainment for All event, or RAFA as it's known for short, or hashtag RAFA. You'll see it on Twitter. So everyone's there signing up to RAFA, and it's all looking good. I was really impressed with all the tweets, so I tried to find out a bit more about what was involved. It didn't take me long till I found this. This is one of 4 so-called stretch aims. It's a bit wordy, so I'll just summarise it here. basically we want to ensure that 85% of children have successfully experienced and achieved second level literacy in preparation for secondary school. Now, to give you a point of reference, that's equivalent to your old level 4 in England. And if that means nothing to you, it's just the minimum that we would hope children would have before going to secondary school. So let me see, I don't know about you, but I'm confused. I thought the thing was called Raising Attainment for All. So let's have a look at this again to ensure that 85% of children, I'm sorry, but that stretch aim is not stretchy enough. It's not ambitious enough, it's not aspirational enough. In fact, it's wholly inappropriate, because when it comes to literacy, we should be aiming for nothing less than literacy for all. You know, and if we're not striving for every child, well, we're not doing our job. And the thing is, if you sign up for Stretch Aim 1, you're automatically signing your name against this, Stretch Aim 1A, because this is a byproduct. It means you're happy to accept that 15% of children will fail to achieve a level of literacy that they require to participate in their secondary school education. So, Raising Attainment for All, wide acceptance of that stretch aim in Scotland reveals two things. The first thing it reveals is that teachers have a fixed mindset when it comes to reading, because they don't actually believe that every child is capable of learning to read competently and confidently. So why would they even think that? They think that because every day they see children in their classrooms that struggle with reading, writing and spelling. And that also reveals the other thing about this is they don't know how to fix the 15%, the 25% or the 50%, because we all lack that required pedagogical subject knowledge when it comes to the most effective way to teach reading. So here's a question for the teachers in the room. I'd like you to put your hand up for me, please, if when you trained as a teacher, were you taught how to teach reading? Did anyone tell you what to do, what you needed to do? Don't be shy. Oh, there's one person, and interestingly, where did you train?
Well, I trained by the hospital. I don't know if they told me the right.
There we are. Well, very interesting. So you were trained in Scotland. Of course, we told you the wrong way. But that's amazing. I'm amazed. I thought I'd have lots more hands up. Because when I do that in Scotland, I get the same thing. I can be teaching 20 teachers or 120. I get between 0 and 6 hands up. And of those 6 hands, many are approaching retirement, or they've been trained abroad, somewhere exotic like England or Ireland. But it seems unbelievable that, you know, the nuts and bolts, the bread and butter of what we do every day in the classroom, that we're not even teaching our teachers how to do that in the best possible way. How do you think Joe Public would feel, or Jock Public would feel, if he knew that teachers don't actually know too much more than he does about teaching his child to read? So what are we using to inform ourselves then if we don't know what we're doing? Well, there are 2 main things that influence our practice in Scotland. The first one is the curriculum. That's not it. It feels like it, though. That's it there. And there is the stork, bringing us a shiny delivery of a green glossy folder. That's Curriculum for Excellence. We've been implementing it since 2010. Every teacher got a folder like this. It weighs 6 pounds, 6.5 ounces. I know because I weighed it. Same weight as your average newborn baby, just as much hassle. Because inside, despite the scope, despite the scale of the document, you know, it mentions phonics once. It mentions sight, vocabulary, top billing, and then strategies. It mentions them 6 times with reference to reading and spelling, but nowhere in that big document does it tell you what they are. And that means that teachers are interpreting that as multi-cueing strategies, as guessing. It also means that because of this, that if teachers in schools are enlightened and are trying to do systematic synthetic phonics, it's been undermined in the background by the curriculum. The other thing that we look to the advisors in Scotland, is our cupboard. Because we don't know what we're doing, we rely on what's in the cupboard to teach our children how to read. So go to the cupboard, though, in most schools in Scotland, you'll find that we're using old reading schemes, using out-of-date strategies, out-of-date approaches, which again, even if you're trying to do some SSP in there, it's undermining it as well. So really, to sum up and answer the question that we're trying to answer today, why aren't we teaching all of our children to read? Well, in Scotland, it's because we're using mixed methods, which hopefully everyone in this room knows, and we know from our research, that's not the best way. We focus in Scotland too much on local contexts and local solutions, or as I call it, local shops for local people. However, if you're learning to read, write and spell in English, that is common to everyone in Scotland, to everyone in the UK. In fact, in any place where anyone is trying to learn English. We don't teach our teachers how to teach reading. That's not just insane, that is scandalous. And we are resource-led when we really should be research-led. We've put a cupboard in charge of our pedagogy. Come on. But I think, most damning of all is this, the fact that we don't actually believe that all of our children can succeed in reading. So now that I'm aware of all this, I'm trying to go out there and tell people about it. But the problem is, this stuff is not good news. People don't want to hear this. So although I'm writing letters to Tess, I'm writing articles, I'm writing endless letters to the Scottish Government, people don't want to know because they're having to admit that they're wrong. I'm trying to get the word out there, but it's difficult. They don't want to hear it. But probably one of the biggest challenges I face is this. I'm trying to offer solutions to people that don't know they have a problem. Or worse still, to people that won't admit they have a problem. And I think for me, this image sums it up nicely. So that's all a bit depressing, so I would rather finish on something warm and fuzzy. I'm going to attempt, if the technology will allow me, to finish with a poem, just to remind us what our children are missing out on if we don't turn them all into readers.
I see goats and pigs and bears by 3, tigers coming round for tea, houses made of gingerbread, grannies all tucked up in bed, pussies in bootses, cats in hats, moles and toads and river rats, planets, kingdoms, near and far, woods where all the wild things are. I see me, floating on the wings of bees, stories buzzing in the trees, taster of porridge, maker of maps, climber of beanstalks, setter of traps, traveller in time, wisher of wells, puller of turnips, caster of spells, finder of treasure, captain of boats, kisser of frogs, defender of moats, driver of rockets, and stagecoach wagons, tamer of wolves, slayer of dragons. I am built of books, word breather, heart hearer, soul's feeder. I am feeder.
Thank you. Do please follow me on Twitter. It's likely I'll need a bed for the night tonight. Hadrian's Wall is probably shut as we speak after what I've told you today. Thank you.